Pokémon is one of the biggest and greatest franchises in all of media, from video games to TV, movies, and beyond. It's also a franchise that both Sean and I love quite a lot. So to keep things short, I'm going to discuss multiple different ideas and rumours for the next Pokémon games. I'll give my opinion on each, as well as the likelihood of each of them happening and how much I personally am looking forward to them. First up, how about a brand new generation of games, otherwise known as Gen 10? While I am always down for a completely new adventure, this isn't likely to be the next set of games. I can't see this happening until 2025. Gen 9 Scarlet and Violet only just recently came to the end of their cycle with the recent DLC releases and the epilogue update. I can't personally see them moving on so quickly from this, and I would imagine we will see a new generation following the release of a new Nintendo console, which is also rumoured to be announced later this year. I have hopes that it will, but I have no idea yet. Still, I highly doubt we will see a new generation of Pokemon games upon release of that console. And as I said previously, I am of course always happy for a new generation, and we'll be looking forward to seeing these in the future for the inevitable release, but I don't believe that time is upon us just yet. Next, a new Pokemon Let's Go game. Now, this is one I am kind of hoping against. I enjoyed the first Pokemon Let's Go games for what they were, but I have no interest in a second set of these games. Rumours have been swirling for years about Johto versions, and I just personally can't see that happening at this point. Not much else to say here, it's very low on my likelihood scale, although I can always be wrong. I believe the rumour was stronger a few months ago, but recent developments, which we will get to later, have changed that. Could we see the return of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? I think there's always a chance, not a very high one for the next entry into the series, but a chance nonetheless. I'm a huge fan of the Mystery Dungeon games, as are many people, and it's the best of the spin-off games by a large margin, and it also features some of the best storytelling in the series as well. I would love to see Mystery Dungeon return with a brand new game, but I believe there's only a slight chance we see that happening anytime soon. What about another spin-off? This is quite a broad one, so just listen up for a second. But could we see a brand new game set within the generation of Pokemon we're currently in? I'm not talking about your standard mobile games, they like to throw those out every so often, but I'm talking about a game sort of like Pokemon Colosseum or XD Gale of Darkness. Two highly underrated games in the series, and some of my favourite games from that GameCube era. Personally, I would love to see this happen, but again, I feel it's very unlikely when compared to a Mystery Dungeon type game, or even another game that will follow on from here. That game being a Pokemon Legends sequel. Now, the first Legends game was very well received, and many consider it to be the best of the Switch generation. I enjoyed it, but I did prefer my time with Scarlet more. I'm not sure if that's controversial, I just prefer the gameplay of a traditional Pokemon game, with those added elements that Scarlet had. The formula and gameplay loop for Legends worked very well the first time around, so would a sequel be wise? Well, I think it's more likely than another spin-off title would be, but I just, again, don't see it happening. Legends felt like a demo for what a true open-world Pokemon game could be like. Almost a testing ground for things that they may want to implement into future games, some of which we saw in Scarlet and Violet. So I'm not optimistic about this one happening anytime soon. Speaking of Scarlet and Violet once again, what about a third game or even sequel entries into the series? Over the years we've seen a shift between game release formulas for the Pokemon franchise, usually releasing two different versions such as Ruby and Sapphire, and then followed by a third version like Emerald. Then we saw the shift to direct sequels with the Black and White games, and that's kinda stopped now. For the past few generations, it's just not been the case. especially with the introduction of the Switch generations. Game Freak has favoured DLC releases over the sequels or new versions, so again, this isn't very likely. Finally, and the reason this is last, the Unova remakes. Some consider Gen 5 of the series to be the best and also the most underrated, and I can kind of agree with both. These games are the ones I'm looking forward to the most. Recent discussions have formed since the release of both the Teal Mask and Indigo Disc DLCs for Scarlet and Violet, which, without spoiling anything major, hint at a return to Unova in the next games. While this doesn't necessarily mean remakes are in the works, and it could just be a return to the region, remakes are the most likely option due to past entries into the franchise. Again, I'd love to see these games, and I hope that they combine elements of the sequels as well, Black and White 2 that is. Again, I would love to see these games, and I hope that they combine elements of the sequels, that being Black and White 2, since those are two of the games in the franchise that I've never actually got to play, and there's not many games in this franchise that I haven't played. What do you think we will see as the next Pokemon games? Could we see a Pokemon Ranger game? I have no idea, but do you agree with my assessment that Black and White remakes are probably the most likely to make their appearance soon? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future.